As Commander-in-Chief, my job is to keep America safe. And that means ensuring that we've got the best military on earth, and that means having the best persons in uniform on earth. We have that right now, but as a consequence of these wars, they have been strained incredibly. I think it's important for us to increase the size of our Army and our Marines so that we can reduce the pace of tours that our young men and women are on. I think it's important for us to work towards increasing military pay. I think the passage of the GI Bill was extraordinarily important as a message to our men and women in uniform that when you serve our country, we will stand by you. I think about my grandfather who served in Patton's Army in World War II. He joined after Pearl Harbor, and we were talking off camera about where did I get this sense of service. I think about my grandparents' generation. My grandfather, after Pearl Harbor, joined the military. My grandmother, who had just had a baby at Fort Leavenworth, stayed back and worked on a bomber assembly line. There was a total mobilization. And when my grandfather came back, he came back to a GI Bill that was going to pay for his college education and FHA loans that would help them purchase a home. There was that sense of sacred obligation that, frankly, we have lost during these last two wars. I want to restore that. But it's also important that a president speaks to military service as an obligation, not just of some, but of many. I travel obviously a lot over the last 19 months, and if you go to small towns throughout the Midwest or the Southwest or the South, every town has tons of young people who are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's not always the case in other parts of the country, in more urban centers. And I think it's important for the president to say, this is an important obligation. If we are going into war, then all of us go, not just some.
Well, to that end, to get the best and brightest into the military, this university, your alma mater, invited President Ahmadinejad of Iran to be here last year. But they haven't invited ROTC to be on campus since 1969. Right. Should Columbia and elite universities that have excluded ROTC invite them back on campus?
Yes. I think we've made a mistake on that. I recognize that there are students here who have differences in terms of military policy, but the notion that young people here at Columbia or anywhere in any university aren't offered the choice, the option of participating in military service, I think is a mistake. That does not mean that we disregard any potential differences in various issues that are raised by students here. But it does mean that we should have an honest debate while still offering opportunities for everybody to serve, and that's something that I'm pretty clear about.
You were saying a moment ago that you think there should be more young people serving in the military. We need a broader demographic cross-section. How do you do that short of a draft?
Well, again, I think that inspiring young people to serve is something that the president is uniquely positioned to do. Now, it doesn't always have to be service in uniform. One of the things that if you talk to our generals, they are desperate for is a civilian counterpart to our military forces. Our military is the best in the world, but they are asked to do so many different things because our civilian operations, our State Department, USAID, have been underfunded, have atrophied, and for us to say, serve in the military, but if that's not where you want to serve, learn a foreign language and go into the foreign service. And by the way, we will deploy you in some difficult areas, but that's part of what it means to be an American and to serve and to sacrifice.